Welcome everyone. A good Erev Shabbos. Thank you for joining us for the learning of Mishna Yomis as Hashem Yisbarach. And we are sponsored in our tour through Bava Metzia by the Fisher family. Leili Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbat Shlom Ben Avram Alevi Peril Bas Ruvain. We are sponsored by Nishmas David Ben Chaim. The Fush Shalem Fel Yomash Ben Chayesar for the schus of Avram Ben Yom Benish Ben Malki Yehudis by Yoel Klugman and family for their Parnasa Gezunta Nachas, and the Fush Shalem for Meir Ben Chayesar should have a Fush Shalem B'Seich Sharcha the Yisrael. We start with Mishna Ches Matzah Igrei Shum. Let's say Chatzkel finds documents of evaluation where a property was evaluated for somebody by Bezdin and foreclosed upon for the payment of a debt, or the grace mazain, or a document where the court sold someone's land to pay for the support of a wife or his daughters. Shitrei chalitza umeyunin, documents that attest to a chalitza being carried out between the brother of the deceased husband and his wife, or meunin, documents attesting to that a child who was married off by her mother or her brothers while she was a ketana issued a refusal to her husband, or b'shitrei berurin, or documents attesting to the choice of judges, the kol ma'aseh bezdin, or any other act of the court. Since the court, they only issue these documents after the action was transpired, you could return it to the person. Or if matzah b'chafisa, if the get or the writ of emancipation was found in a purse, or in a box that's used for older people to keep all their stuff in one place, like their glasses and dentures, etc. Or tachris shel shtoris, or a bundle of shtoris wrapped one within the other, so there was a way to identify it, or agudah shel shtoris, or a pile of shtoris, one on top of another. The identification is not enough the way the shtaris were packed together, but also they had to say a certain number. Three tied one with another. Now, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says it depends. If the shtaris is Ruvain, and each star, one is Ruvain that he took a loan from Chaim, and one is Ruvain that he took a loan from Shimon, and one is Ruvain that he took a loan from Lazer, so then we assume that it fell from the one who took the loan, and that he paid it and he got back the stars, because it makes sense that it fell from him because it's three stars that have to do with him. If there are three promissory notes that says Chaim owes money to Chatzkel, Lazer owes money to Chatzkel, and Shimon owes money to Chatzkel, it was probably that Chatzkel, the creditor, that dropped it, so Yazel Amalva, we turned it to the creditor. Matzah shtar bein shtoiraisav, if let's say a third party found a note amongst the shtaris that say that Chaim owes $1,000 to Lenny. Now, he doesn't remember. Did Lenny give it to him for safekeeping? Was Chaim paid already? Did Chaim pay already it, and he got it back and he gave it to him for safekeeping? Or maybe Chaim paid partially to Lenny, and he was holding it in escrow. So it has to stay by him until Elio Navi comes. Now let's say there was a creditor that had an IOU note that Marshall owes Mark $1,000. And he has an IOU note, but if there is also a receipt that Marshall paid. Now, the receipt should have been by Marshall, not by him. But the document is also amongst the documents that he tore up, even though this one wasn't torn up. Then Yasa Masha B'Simpainis, he should do what it says in the receipt, and he can collect from Marshall the money. Now we start with the second parak, famous parak. These fines belong to the finder, and these he has to announce. These finders, keepers, if he found fruit that's scattered. Now, when he finds fruit that is scattered, there's no siman on it. And since there's no siman on it, so it's likely that the owner was miyayish, and since it's bulky, he already realized that he lost it. Or krichais b'rishus rabim, or small bundles of grain in the rishus rabim. Even if they had a siman on it, since it's kicked around, the siman would be lost, and therefore the owner would be miyayish. Or bigulei devela, cake of figs, which was sold in a uniform cake, so there's no way to identify it. Or kikarish al nachtain, or a challah from a baker. Not a homemade challah, because a homemade challah is distinct. But the baker's challah, a Haimish challah, all the Haimish challah looks the same way without a siman. Machroizes shel dragim, a string of fish, which is also uniform with the same amount of fish on them. And chaticha shel basar, or pieces of meat. Begizei tzemer, or pieces of wool, abam and midinasim, that came from where they are sheared without being processed, manitze pishtin, or raw bundles of linen, flax, ulashayna shalagaman, or tongues of purple, harielu shalai. It's his because there's no way for the owner to identify it, and therefore the owner is miyayish. Divrei Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, kol sheyesh bo shinui, if the item has something unusual, even if you're not sure if it was put in by accident or not, but maybe it was put on purpose, and therefore the owner is not miyayish because he has a way to identify it, so chayiv lahachris, he has to announce it. The finder has to announce it. Keitzad, matzah iglu b'soichei cheres, he finds a cake of fig that has a piece of earthenware in it, or kikar, a loaf b'soichei mamas, where there was money stashed inside it. Now, there's a special halacha that a Talmid Chacham could claim something even with just tfiyas ayin, even if he says, I see that it's mine. Now, that's first of all because the Talmid Chacham is very trustworthy, and second of all because the Talmid Chacham is very perceptive. However, Reb Shimon Lazar, Kol Klei and Puria, if it's a new item, even if it's a place where Talmidei Chacham live, Ampuria means it's short for Ein Po Raya. There's no proof here. And since it's new, Ein Chayv Lachris. Even if it's a place of Talmidei Chacham, he doesn't have to announce it, because there's no way that even the Talmidei Chacham would recognize it if it's brand new. It doesn't have any distinctive features, even for a perceptive person. I just want to remind you that we will be having Daf Yomi Motzi Shabbos at 9:15 at zoomdaf.com, Tublat, and that's meeting code 914408. And we will have Daf Yomi throughout the week at 8 o'clock. Thank you for joining, and have a wonderful Shabbos.